Wonderful. Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining us today. What an exciting time here as we continue to move forward with our series for new loan originators. For many of you that are on this call, thank you, one, for joining a wonderful industry. I will share with most of you as you progress and advance forward in your careers, you will find that this business is full of wonderful opportunities. And you might find that as a loan originator, there are other avenues and angles that you might want to go into in this business. Perhaps at some point you may want to choose and change your career and go into processing, which is a wonderful career, or even into underwriting or any behind the scenes work that happens back there with underwriting and closing and funding. What a wonderful, rich business. So speaking of rich, I do want to share with the group that I'm very happy to introduce a good friend of mine this morning, Mr. Steve Richman. Mr. Steve Richman is the MI guy, as we all like to call him, and he currently works for an organization called Enact Mortgage Insurance, formerly known as Genworth Mortgage Insurance. Mr. Steve Richman is a national speaker. He is someone that I have seen speak many times over the course of my 20-plus year career. Steve speaks on topics that are wide range, anywhere from industry changes, fluctuations in market, and now his most recent content is that, which I think is so wonderful that all of you get to participate in it, some of the strategies to being a new loan originator. So you're going to learn a lot from Steve. He provides an enormous amount of information, again, having trained more than thousands of people nationally throughout the entire United States in the mortgage banking business. I'm excited to go ahead and introduce Mr. Steve Richman. And of course, let me turn over to Mr. Kevin Cato, who is the representative for Enact MI. So thank you. And on behalf of the Florida Association of Mortgage Professionals in this continuing education series, thank you to Enact MI, and thank you to the MI guy, Steve Richman. Kevin, take it away.
Thank you, Nathaniel, and thank you everyone for joining us for our second part in the series. We always appreciate your time. If you missed the first part of the series, I'm going to put my email address in the chat. Reach out to me. I can shoot you a copy of it. That's not a problem. If you have other just general questions, feel free to reach out to me as well. And take it away, Steve.
Nathaniel, please get back on camera. Come on, baby. They want to see you. So in all my life, I've always wanted to be Nathaniel. So you can see what a nice tie he has. So when I did that, I ran upstairs to make sure that he knows that I want to be just like him. So I got my tie from upstairs. I'm not putting it on yet, but I want to be him. But Nathaniel, I'm now lying to you. You can now go off camera. That's why I just want people to see we have the same tie. But as much as I want to be Nathaniel, I want to be Flamingo Rico. I saw that name come up across here. I don't know who you are, Flamingo Rico, but wow, I'm digging your name. Steve Richman sounds so boring when I could be Flamingo Rico. I love that name. This is going to be a little bit different than what we did last time. Let me just give you a real quick show of what's going on in the agenda here. So for the agenda, I'm going to start off and just give you a little bit of background of what's going on. Then we're going to go out to the internet and we're going to do some stuff live. Hopefully it's going to work. I got my friend Valerie sitting over there who's going to say, hey, it's working, or it's not. Then we're going to go into a little bit of a slideshow like we're looking at right now at the screen. Then we're going to do a 2-minute recap of what happened last time, and then we'll open it up for questions. Don't think this one's going to take all that long, but we're going to see what happens. Who knows? Just so you know, if you're asking, well, who are you guys? What's going on here? Hey, we used to be Genworth MI. We're now Enact. So if you have not heard of that, that's who we are. We are Enact Mortgage Insurance. Same wonderful people, same great service, but now we're what? We're more focused than ever on making sure that we're providing what we need out there within the marketplace. What are we going to talk about today? This is for new LOs, and I'm real casual. Write questions, have questions, ask questions, unmute yourself. I don't care about any of that stuff. But today we're mainly doing, last time I talked about here's what's going on in the marketplace, and people say, well, that's great. Where do you find all this stuff? So we're going to talk about where to find all this stuff on your own, because what we do know is everything's changing every day, so you got to be able to track it yourself. And then we're going to talk about that sticky little question called, what's your rate? Because everybody's going to ask you, what's your rate? So let's get into it. Here are some must-known websites. And the beauty is, A, this is being recorded. And B, I've already given Valerie the actual presentation, so she's going to send it out to everybody. So if you don't want to write this down, because some of the websites get a little bit long, lengthy, I'm going to send it to you. Obviously, Fannie Mae has a website. Obviously, what happens at Fannie Mae is really, really important. So we can either go, and the reason it says single family is because there's other types of things that Fannie Mae does, but what we care about here in the mortgage world is the singlefamily.fanniemae.com. Now, it has a ton of information. It has articles and this and that. So if you want to look around there, you can. But if you're talking go forward, I give you this little link right here, and it's from their notification center, and you can sign up to get their bulletins. So anytime something new happens over at Fannie Mae, instead of you keep going to their website every single day and saying, I wonder if something new happened today, let me go look, you just sign up for the bulletin and it will come to you, no effort on your part after you sign up. Guess what? Freddie Mac has a website too. And guess what they have? They have a place where you can subscribe and get their bulletin when anything important happens within the industry or they're doing something different. So now you can sign up for that. You have that. I know you're FAMP people. I love your organization. But if you're looking to see what's going on in the national level, we have the American Bankers Association. Good information. But once again, they'll send you their bulletins for free. Just sign up for that and they'll send that out there to you. And the same thing with the MBA, the Mortgage Bankers Association. And here's their subscription link so you can go in there and get that and you're good to go. All right. Now, right there, you're like, okay, yeah, that's some pretty heavy kind of stuff. And looking at that, what else is out there? What I'm going to do right now, and I'm hoping that this is going to work for me, I am going to go on to, I'm going to share this button here and hit share. I'm going to go out of the presentation. Well, see, I knew we were going to have a problem with this. It's okay. I'm going to share screen. We're going to get right back into it because we figured out how to do this when we did it before, and I'm hitting share. So Kevin or Valerie, just tell me that you can all see my screen and it has Elliot on it, please. That says Econ 70 or Nathaniel. We're good. Okay, thank you. So one place that I strongly recommend you subscribe to, there's a guy named Elliot Eisenberg. He actually lives in Florida now. He has a site called econ70.com. When you go to econ70.com, you're going to have to scroll down a little bit. Hold on, here we go. Let me scroll. There we go. We're scrolling down. We're scrolling down. You can learn all about Elliot, whatever. But what I like is over here is 70 words on the economy every single day, Monday through Friday. He's been doing it since 2010. If you are somebody who just lives on your smartphone, you can text bowtie to 22828. And you will get Monday through Friday what happened in the economy in 70 words or less, or you click the little subscribe button that's sitting right there and you're able to get that. So if you want to see what's going on, he has access to that. The other thing on this page, do you see it's the fourth button over, home, about Elliot, Elliot on stage, and here it says blogs. When you go over here to blogs, what will happen is, hey, here's the latest one that he just wrote. What happened on June 15th? Today's June 16th. So what did he do yesterday? He's talking about COVID and unemployment rate. So if that's something that's important to you, you would now have access to that. So that I'm going to send you the link and all that, but I just want you to see how to work it. This one is Rob Chrisman. Rob Chrisman is the #1 mortgage blogger in the United States of America. He comes out Monday through Sunday, and he'll tell you what's going on in the mortgage world and what's going on with your competition. It is absolutely free. Please note how you spell Chrisman. It's C-H-R-I-S-M-A-N. You see the button right here? I just lit it up for you where it says subscribe. So you can go in there and you subscribe and he will send it to you every day for free. Or if you want to keep going to the site, you can read, this is yesterday's because I pulled all this up beforehand to make sure it was working. By now, it's already switched over to June 16th, but I pulled it earlier this morning. and that's what's sitting right there. That's Rob Chrisman. Those are two I think I've probably told you about in the past. Let me show you a couple others that are pretty cool. This one is bankrate.com. Now, bankrate.com is a for-profit site. Your competition might be advertising there. I don't know. But what we look at is there's all kinds of calculators and yada, yada, yada that you can get on here. What I like about bankrate.com is every so often I go on here just so I can see what's going on with interest rates. So here's today's mortgage rates that you're looking. We're looking at right now. Hey, they updated it a little while ago, 6.11. It's dropped down from where it was a little bit before. Oh, I switched over here. It was 3.9. It came down just a little bit. All of a sudden, when you go back, everybody got all panicky in April. Remember when it went up to 3.25? Oh my goodness gracious. So what we're looking at is it's a great way to track the trend of what's going on. And if you're looking at ARMs or anything like that, that's sitting right there for you as well. All right. This next one, this is a little bit longer of one. It's bls.gov/LAU, bls.gov/LAU. It's the Bureau of Labor Statistics, and it's about unemployment. So I got to move this on my screen just for a second. One thing we do know is, hey, if you are, let me see. Nope, that's not where I want to go. So if one thing we do know, if you don't have a job, you're probably not buying a home. So we try and track what's going on with unemployment because that's going to affect our jobs. Well, right now, when we go down here, we can see what? In Florida, your unemployment is at 4.8%. I can come down here. You see this little button right here? Hopefully on your screen, it looks like a little chart that's in a box. It says 10 years of historical data. So if you want to track, has it gotten better? Has it gotten worse? You just click on that and you're good to go. I'm not going to do it right now because I always get nervous about technology and showing stuff, but you can see where it is. It says it right there. The other part of this site that I'd like to share with you is when we come down here a little bit, I can go to Florida. See where it says regional resources right here on the right-hand side of your page? And when I hit go, when it says Florida, look what I can now do. I was just told that you all are everywhere in the state. So if you happen to be in Gainesville, I can tell you what's going on in Gainesville. If you're in Lakeland, I can tell you what's going on in Lakeland. And so it has all of the different areas sitting right here. I mean, I didn't even know there was a place called Sebastian, but I can tell you what's going on in Sebastian, Florida when it comes to the unemployment. So I don't know where you are, but now you can get your local information sitting right there for you. This next one that we have here, this is called FHFA.gov. I will say this to each and every one of you on this call. Be very careful when you look at these sites. There's a big difference between .com, .gov, and .org. The adult entertainment industry basically went out, and anybody that was a .gov or a .org, they bought up those websites as a .com so that they can do what? They can trick you to going there because you hit the wrong link. So make sure when you're looking at this stuff, you go to what you want to see. And this is FHFA, the Federal Housing Finance Agency. This is their site.gov. Where do I go here? I really like this part right here, the House Price Index. The House Price Index that comes out every month, and then they do a quarterly review. I think the quarterly review gives you a ton of good information. So when I click on the quarterly review right here, it comes up to a page that looks a little bit like this. Here's the FHFA Home Price Index Quarterly Report. Boom, boom, boom. So let's just look at a couple things right here. Right at the beginning, what's it going to say? Hey, home prices are up 12.6% over last year, and they're up 3.5% in the first quarter. It tells you that. You continue to scroll here and it starts giving you, check this out. Look at this chart. How cool is that? Right now, what I get to see is what's going on with home price appreciation, and we can see how it did in the first quarter of 2021. You continue down, we can see what's going on with that. Look at this, look at this. Here's every single state sitting right here. So the fourth quarter appreciation, interestingly enough, in the US was 12.6. Hey, guess what, Florida? I don't mean to call you average, but you're average. You have the same exact number as the rest of the country at 12.6. If you're in Texas, it's 11.9. If you're in Iowa, it's 8.8. So you can see where you're going state by state. It doesn't stop there. It starts to give you all now monthly figures so you can see about your purchase onlys, how they've jumped up. Look at that. They're up 44.1%. That's what we're looking at. We can see what's going on with home price appreciation. And when you go in here to tables, just give me 1 second and you'll see it. Now it starts breaking down by MSA in alphabetical order. So if you're in Fort Myers, we can do what? It's sitting right there, and I know what's going on in Fort Myers, Florida. It's showing me that your home values over the last year are up 13.73%. Over the last quarter, they're up 4.25%. Over the last 5 years, they're up over 40%. And since 1991, they're up over 218%. Now, if I'm sitting in your shoes, I'm going, wait a second. So I got a site that I can sign up and track the economy. That's econ70.com. I got a site that I can sign up that's going to show me what's going on in the mortgage business, Rob Chrisman. I can check back and see what's going on with rate. That's bankrate.com. I can also go check what's going on with unemployment, bls.gov/LAU. And now I can see what's going on with home prices, FHFA.gov. Make sure you get to the right spot, the .gov, so that you have that. I'm assuming my screen is changing along with you all. I hope that it is. One thing that we know that we have to pay very close attention to today is the world of enforcement, the world of laws, the world of legislation, of rules and regulations. This is the CFPB's site. It's consumerfinance.gov. The two places that I typically go to when I go here, well, I love my favorite places, right? I don't know, consumer education, whatever. Who they are, I don't care who they are. Compliance, obviously they're important, but where I spend my time, I like rules and policy. Because when you hit that rules and policy, it tells you flat out what are the final rules that they've published. But my favorite button on this entire site is right here where it says rules under development. See, when it says final rules, it says this is what I need to comply with. But when you look under rules under development, you can see the direction the CFPB is going to see what they're considering and see what changes are going to be made. So now they come out and they say, this is what we're thinking of doing. Let us know what you think. Where do you want to go with this? And it publishes it right there under rules under development on the CFPB's website. Now, we're going to go in and I'm going to start. Carson Wilkie, how you doing? Brandon Gay, what's going on? Lisa Jans, how are you? Max Zhang, back for a second time, right? So what we look at is you all have an MLS number. I'm making that assumption. I think you probably do, right, Anne-Marie? Jessica Brunette, I think you have it. And there's my friend Flamingo Rico. I love it. What you want to do is you want to come over here to a site called NMLS consumeraccess.org. NMLSconsumeraccess.org. If you have an NMLS or an MLO number, it will be contained somewhere on this site. Why is that important? Well, it's my opinion, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but every one of you have seen a credit report at some point in your life. It's also my opinion, and I think I'm going to be right when I say this, that you've all found errors on a credit report. Well, at NMLSconsumeraccess.org, it lists all of your information. And believe it or not, sometimes they make mistakes. So you need to look yourself up, because the last thing you want to do is have a customer go, hey, I looked up at NMLSconsumeraccess.org and it says you're only able to write loans in Ohio, so I guess I can't use you. You need to make sure the information that you get on there is correct. I typed in somebody's name. Who was it? Check it out, my man Nathaniel with the fancy tie. Now, I could have done this for any of you all, but look, and this is what I would really make sure is right. Make sure your phone number is right, because if a customer is looking to reach you and they're having problems, they might find you here and say, oh, I got to look them up. Personally, Nathaniel, what would I do? I'd update my picture that's sitting right here. It also says, where do you work? If you're somebody who has recently changed jobs, or you're looking to get a job and you're just starting out in the business, you want to make sure that that's correct, because that the customer's going to say, wait a second, I thought you were a Security National. Why does it say something else? We got to make sure it's right. And it also has here, if you want to put it on there, what your, well, not if you want to, it's how you report in, what your entire employment history is. So we can see that sitting right there for us. Okay? That's really valuable. It shows you the address of your location if people want to come and find you, how long you've been there. And it also shows you, one, what states you're eligible and able to do business with. Now, don't get upset what I have here about Nathaniel. I did not hit view all, so I just did the small one right here. So that's important. You got to make sure that they have the right states. And regulatory actions, sometimes people might have complaints or something about you, or the NMLS has said, hey, you've been denied for this reason or that reason, and that would get posted to this page. As you can see, there are no actions that have been taken against Nathaniel. But I think this is really important for you to consider. Every so often, just look at it and see what they're saying about yourself. The other thing is, if they're saying, oh, well, I'm working with a different LO, and you know nothing about that other LO, you can look them up also. So now we have that information. So what we just did there is talked about NMLSconsumeraccess.org. One more that I'd like to bring to your attention is called HomeFacts, HOMEFACTS.com. Now, a lot of what I've been talking about is national, but if you see here, you can enter a city, a zip code. So I know that in Jacksonville, there's 12 different zip codes. If I want to get specific, remember when we looked before and it said, do you want to be in Cape Coral or do you want to be in Fort Myers? They combined those two MSAs. Well, if I really only cared about a certain zip code in Fort Myers, or I only cared about a zip code in Cape Coral, what can I do? I can actually enter that zip code right there, and then I put in Jacksonville. And immediately it comes up and it says, hey, Jacksonville's the largest city in Duval County and the largest in the largest city, in the state of Florida. You got 219 public schools that are sitting right there. So you have access and you can find out about the schools. You have good schools, they are above average. You also have good crime, that's above average too. So we're looking at that. Your unemployment is low. I can now track for any public school, any information that I want from that school. You see over here where it says view all. So it only gives you a small snapshot, but I can hit view all and I can get all that information. There's your colleges and universities. Let's pass over crime, shall we? Yes, let's do that. And let's move past meth labs. So we do want to look at that. So that's what we're looking at right there. We're looking at your home values are up 10% compared to April of 2020. I can also show you what your housing inventory is. 12% of your housing is currently vacant. I can tell you what's being built there, what's not being built. Look, I can break it down zip code by zip code. 32003 versus 32202. I can show you how much people are charging for rent. It's sitting right there. So we have access to all of that. Then we come down here, natural disasters come on. But we're going to look at this. The household income is $51,298. I can see what your unemployment rate is. Most of the people in Jacksonville, almost 2/3, 62.45%, have white-collar jobs. Then I go onto this little button right here, and I can view more demographic information. I hope this is coming up for you. It is a lot on this site, so this takes like 20 seconds to populate. So I apologize, especially since I'm on a webinar, it's going to take a little bit longer. But you might not know this, but there's 836,000 people in Duval County. That's sitting right there. That's 874 square miles. What else can I tell you about it? When it comes to Jacksonville, 52% of Jacksonville is female, 49% is male. I know you're going, oh, well, what is that? Well, you know, there's a little bit of a decimal point issue that's right there. I can give you the age breakdown. You got a whole lot of 35 to 54-year-olds living in Jacksonville, which is great because that's a great home buying age right there. And we have a chart for it. I can break it down when it comes to race. It's sitting there right there, and we can see 59% happens to be white, 30.6% is Black or African American. Boom, boom, boom. It lists that all out. When it comes to Hispanic, we can but we can list out statistically Mexican, Puerto Rican, Cuban. See, we can have all that access right there. How educated the area is, who's been married, who hasn't been married. Why is this important? Well, if you look at it statistically speaking from the National Association of Realtors, what we're looking at is the vast majority, 71% of all purchases are coming through couples, because you basically need 2 incomes to qualify for a loan today. So we can see, are there a lot of couples in this area? We can also see, hey, 85.8% speak English in their household. That's where we are. So should we be looking at how can we have, that's 14% of the populace that is not speaking English. Do we need to embrace, it's what we're looking at is a large number of it is Spanish, almost 7%. Do we need to get our materials in Spanish so that we can attract that kind of a customer, so that we're able to communicate better with the Hispanic customer? They make, we already talked about this, somewhere between $50,000 and $75,000 a year. Here's your employment breakdown of what we're looking at right now. I'm going to show you just a few more commuting statistics, how they heat the home with the sun. Housing occupancy, we did this. And look, I mean, just look at all this information that's on here. This is one of my favorites, though. Housing age statistics. Most of your homes were built when? Between 2000 and 2009. So if somebody says, I'm looking for something retro, good luck. There's not a lot that's out there. They want something that's built brand new, not a lot that's out there. So we have that access right here. And then we go down just a little bit more, and here are all of your mortgage statistics. How many mortgages are over housing units with mortgage between $500 and $999. That's 28% of the marketplace is under $1,000 for their mortgage. That's what we're looking at right there. And when we go one step beyond, what are we looking at? I can get you your rent statistics that are sitting right there. So now we can compare rent versus the mortgage that we're trying to accomplish for that person. So what we just did, and I'm going to hit new share, and I'm going to go back into this, hit share, hit this. So what we just did is list out all those websites. Kevin, tell me, you see you back to my must-know websites on the screen that are sitting right there?
Yes, sir.
All right, just making sure it works. So I have them all listed out for you. Here's all the ones that I said that are going to be the where you can subscribe to the newsletter. Here's all the ones that we can go in and get the new access back and get that information. Of course, our favorites, what? That's the Enact website, enactmi.com, where you can go for the training and the blogs, and you can get that information that's right there. Now, you might say to me, dude, so I just signed up for these 40 things, and now my entire inbox is too crowded, and I can't get to the emails that I want to get to. Thanks for nothing. I get too many emails. Why? Because half the time I'm traveling to whatever city that I'm going to, and starting July 1st, I'm allowed to travel again. And as soon as you get to a city and you walk into that hotel, it subscribes you to that hotel's email. What I'm going to share with you is this nice little website called Unroll. You can see it on the top left-hand corner, UNROLL.me, unroll.me, unroll.me. When you go to unroll.me, you go where it says get started now. You see that in the middle of the page? It says, what's your email address? And when you go to unroll.me and you plug in your email address, it'll say you are subscribed to 216 email subscriptions right now. And it will list all 216. And next to each one, it will say keep or unroll, keep or unroll. So you can go, okay, I like that one, I'm keeping it. That one I never wanted in the first place. Unroll, 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 keep, unroll, 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 keep, unroll. The one weird thing about that, it's a little bit of a, I don't want to say it's tricky, but it's a bit of an anomaly. If you are getting emails and you're subscribed to a place called FAMP, F-A-M-P, or Enact Mortgage Insurance, you're not allowed to unroll. Because if we're getting you signed up here today, baby, you're stuck with us, okay? So that's just sort of what I'm saying right there. Please don't unroll FAMP and you'll be good to go. All right, deep breath time. Whew, that was a lot. That's good information, dude. But now you're going to freak me out. And I'm telling you, don't be scared. Math is your friend. And I know some people, they hate math. I hate math. I hate math. And I'm telling you, math is your friend. Why? Because people are going to say to you, what is my rate? What is your rate? And my response is, you got to understand the math before the rate, before you have the conversation with them. Check this out. There's a difference when you're talking about rates and payments and this and that. Let's look at loan amount first. Because everybody says, oh, your mortgage, man, you're an eighth of a point different. That's, oh my gosh, an eighth of a point. And oh my gosh, stop it. Look at this just for a second. Do you realize if you did a loan amount for $200,000 at a 3% rate, and I know it said 3.08 on the other page, just, roll with me here. Your PI payment is $843 a month. What's harder than getting qualified for a mortgage today? Getting your loan, your offer accepted by the seller. There's not a lot of inventory out there. So if we can share with our buyers, with our borrowers, you're coming in and you're saying you want to bid $200,000. Are you worried about that? Because let me tell you something. If you just up your offer by $2,000, we're looking at that's like $8 more a month. Is it? So you're looking at for $2,000 at 3%, it's $8. So if you're in the middle of a bidding war or something like that, can you see how that it's not about negotiating the rate? Sometimes it's about saying, hey, let's just get you into that home. And now we can see, okay, mathematically, there we are. It's $8 for raising your offer by $2,000. But they're still going to say, they're an eighth, different than you. They're an eighth. Do you know how much an eighth of a point is on a $200,000 loan amount? So if we look at this and we go at 3% and we compare it to 2.875 or an eighth different, what are we looking at? We're looking at like $13 a month. $13 a month is an eighth. That's $3 a week. Folks, you spend more than $3 a day going to Starbucks. So you're telling me that the problem with my loan is that? I'm saying don't go to Starbucks and let's get this loan because I'm going to get you qualified. And here's the other value adds that I'm bringing to you to the table. That's got to be worth $3 a week. So when we really look at the math, that's a great conversation to have with them when they go, what's your rate? Why? I want the lowest. Well, let me show you what it is. It's $3 a week. Let me show you everything else you get by doing business with me. You see how that just worked for you? One, they can negotiate to give a little bit more at the time on the contract price so that they can get the house. And two, an eighth of a point really isn't much. But let's get into other possible answers. And after we get these possible answers and do the wrap up, there were a lot of different questions last time of like, hey, how would you do this? And what are you looking for on that? We're going to open it up to any question you want. Nathaniel and I are going to do that. That's how we roll. So if you look at, okay, well, somebody says, what's your rate? A great question to come back to what's your rate is, are you worried about rate or payment? Because I'm going to tell you right now, I mean, I'm in the business, so I know what I have. But if you say to my wife right now, what is your rate? My wife has no idea what our mortgage rate is. You know what she does know? How much we pay every month for our mortgage, right? Payment is the thing that I really care about because payment's the thing that's coming out of my pocket. Rate doesn't come out of pocket. It's, can you afford this payment? So when they go, what's your rate? The answer can very much be, hey, look, you gave me this information. I did a calculation. Your payment's going to be $969.30. Currently, you're paying $1,000 in rent. So we're going to be saving you over $30 a month by owning your own home. Are you cool with that? See, when we start talking about payment, we're talking about the thing that they understand because they're already paying rent. They have a monthly payment. So let's compare payment to payment, not percentage to percentage. I can compare your rent payment to your what? To your mortgage payment. What's your rate? What do you want it to be? I want it to be 2%. No problem. You want 2%? All you need to do is come up with a 60% down payment and pay 8 points. And if you do a 60% down payment and you pay 8 points, I can get your rate down to what you want it to be. See, why I'm telling you this, Mr. or Miss Customer, is because people are going to play games with rate all the time. They're going to say you need to do this. I'm looking at you holistically. How much are you going to put down? How many points are you going to pay? I can get you where you want to go, but that's not going to be the best situation for you based upon that number. We're going to explore other things. So what it is, it's above and beyond just saying, well, this is the number I want because I can get you there. The next thing is, it's sort of silly people when they say, what's your rate? Your rate, it isn't your rate, it's my rate. My rate's for me and your rate's for you. So when you say, what's your rate? This is how much I pay. But I'm going to tell you something. It's your rate. And don't you dare listen to anyone else when you say, what's your rate? And they just throw a number out there. Because based upon how much you're putting down, my number's going to change and so will theirs. Based upon your credit, my number is going to change and so will theirs. So if they tell you what their rate is, they're just taking, and they haven't asked you and they haven't pulled credit, they're just taking a guess because they don't know what it's going to be. They're just putting you in the best light scenario, but we're not going to know this until we actually pull your credit score. How much is the house worth? How much is the contract price? Because there's a difference between a jumbo rate and a non-jumbo rate. So if they're giving you a number, a percentage, and they don't know how large your loan amount's going to be, they don't know if it's going to be a 15-year, an ARM, a 30-year fixed, rates are going to change. You can, listen, until I get this information, they're guessing. Until you give them that information, they're guessing. Do you want to be with somebody who's just guessing, or do you want somebody who's going to give you an actual number and is going to stand by that number? Let's get you the right number up front, and we're going to be able to work with that. I'm not somebody who's guessing your weight at a carnival. I'm giving you the actual rate that you're going to get, and it's going to be accurate. So therefore, we know, hey, what's going to happen when we look to negotiate on the price of this house? Boom. See what you just did? It's not about rate. It's about all these other things. And the last one is called S2P. What's S2P? Folks, if you don't like politics as much as I don't like politics, and we're not going to get into a conversation about politics, all you have to do is watch any politician anytime when they're giving an interview. And I don't care if they're a Republican, I don't care if they're a Democrat, it's absolutely irrelevant. A libertarian, doesn't matter. They all engage S2P. What is S2P? S2P says you say it twice and then you pivot. You say it twice. What's your rate? You say it twice. I understand rate is important to you and you know our rate is competitive, but time to pivot. S2P, say it twice. I understand rate's important to you. You know our rate's going to be competitive, but I got to tell you something. You got to get your loan approved. So let's talk about how we're going to get, how I got 98% of first-time home buyers approved for a loan over the past year, because more important than what the rate is getting you approved. what you just do. You said it twice, and now you're pivoting towards approval. And that's what you really want to be talking about. Hey, look. Seriously, Susan, I totally understand that rate is important to you, and you know that our rate's competitive, but you don't want to wait forever for an approval, do you? We have a 4-hour turn time. Therefore, you're going to be in a better position to negotiate the contract price of your home. So let's get you done and get you the answer so you can start moving and finding the place where you want to go. See, that's what we just, oh, hold on. I so understand, my friend Flamingo Rico, that I understand that rate is important to you, and you know our rate is competitive, but who you're dealing with, that's important too. And I have a 5-star rating from my last 112 customers that I've done a loan for. So we're also looking at what? Getting you really what you want through the entire process. So that's called S2P. You say it twice and then you pivot to the thing that we do what? When we talked about last time, where you differentiate yourself and then you can take it in to show why you're different than the competition. Because it's not about rate. It's about why you're different. And now I say the word rate twice and I pivot to what makes me different. Now, you're going to come back to me and you're going to say, but, as soon as they say, oh, yeah, but. Yeah, but I heard you are. Yeah, but on the Jones deal. Yeah, but stop. Here's how I want you to easily reply to anytime somebody says but. When they go but, if they go general, that's general patent. You go specific, that's a bullseye. But they go specific, you go general, especially with real estate agents, right? Hey, can I get a referral from you? Well, I would, but what? On the Jones deal, you are 1/8 of a point higher than ABC lender. Oh, that's really interesting. Generally speaking, we're the same, if not less than them, 98% of the time. But generally speaking, we can beat them, or we're identical 98% of the time. So I'm looking to win 98% of it. Or they say, hey, generally speaking, ABC lender's cheaper in rate than you. Oh, really? Well, remember that they couldn't do that Jones deal the other day that you brought to me that I was able to get approved, and they weren't able to do that? See, as soon as they start talking in generalities, you go right into the specific and you say something that you've done that they can't do. As soon as they start talking in the generalities, you go into the specific. As soon as they talk in the specifics, you go into the generals. It's really that simple. That's how you make it move on them and show where you are better. All right? So we've just hit chapters 3 and 4 of what we were going to talk about. We're going to give you a quick 2-minute, 120-second recap of last session. When you go to enactmi.com, look in our training part, that either of those 2 places that are outlined in blue, get to our course catalog. In our course catalog, you can go to the New to Industry series and the That MI Guy series. The New to Industry series is going to give you the wonderful information where you can get all the acronyms, mortgage terms, and glossary that's sitting right there for you, so you have access to it. The That MI Guy series is going to give you that whole program that comes out and says, what is it that you need to know about your company so that you're able to talk about them smoothly and eloquently. After you understand your company, we understand that all customers are going to want to do what? They're going to ask you, why should I do business with you? Why should I do business with your company? And we broke down the 7 things that they all want. 4 of them are transaction-based, 3 of them are relationship-based, and that provides the translationship. And then lastly, as we just talked about maybe a minute ago, this is not why I'm great. This is how I'm different. And remember, we said make it provable and measurable. And when it's provable and measurable, that's when we just went to that specificity. You see how we just did that? General to specific, specific to general. So that's where we are right now. I've now gone for 45 minutes. I said I want to spend a little bit more time to try and answer any questions that you all have at this time. So what I'm going to do is stop sharing and open this up, and just, you can either type in a question you have or unmute yourself and ask any question, comment, thought, concern about anything we've talked about today, anything we didn't talk about today, anything you wished we had talked about today or anything at all? Manuel says anywhere in this site where you can see the average property tax by zip code. My answer is you're thinking about homefacts.com, HOMEFACTS.com. That site actually does not, last time I went through it, does not provide tax information. So you'd have to get the tax information somewhere else. Other questions, thoughts, comments, concerns? Nathaniel's chomping at the bit. He's like, I want to answer questions, dude. I got this tile. So anything else you got? It's off topic. I don't care. One of my borrowers locked herself out of her portal access. Give me a little bit more. Is this your company's portal? Is this when you did something, you put them through a Fannie Mae or a Freddie Mac portal? Oh, that's going to be for your company. Mm-hmm. So if to sign documents, you're going to have to talk to your own IT department to be able to figure that out, because they have their own procedures to do that. And since I don't know your company, you're going to have to go to your own help desk or your own IT desk to be able to figure out how to do that. Sorry about that, Kikum, if I'm pronouncing that right, but that's your company. I can't answer that one for you. The Ellie Mae consumer-facing portal.
Yeah, you'll have to go Ellie Mae. You know, that's Encompass. You'll basically have to contact your company and find out, you know, how do you work around that? It's more of an Encompass thing, I believe.
Yeah, probably. This one person says, hey, I have a real estate license. I have an MLO license. Should I keep them both current? My answer to you is that's your call. But I would let both my lending company, I would let my real estate company both know that you're holding both licenses, and you will have additional disclosures to make to your customer that says, these are the two licenses that I'm holding, and I'm using this one for this purpose or that one for that purpose, so that it's going to come in, because they don't want you doing both at one time, being the real estate agent and the MLO. So there are people that can hold both, but you better make sure both your companies know it and that your customer knows it as well. Correct, Nathaniel? You cool with that? You're giving me a look on a face like I'm not really.
I know. I think the look that I have is that so this crunching of the faces, you know, to me, and this is your own personal preference, but you know, being a mortgage loan originator, you wear multiple hats. You know, you have to be strong in accounting. You have to have good fiscal literacy skills. You've got to be forever and always a never-ending student of the game and researching Fannie Mae guidelines and Freddie Mac guidelines and knowing FHA guidelines. If you start getting into bond loans, you've got to know what your current county does, down payment assistance. You have to know how to calculate business tax returns. You have to personal tax returns. You have to deal with profit and loss statements. And the list just goes on and on and on. And I think if you really, really are going to be a mortgage loan officer and your goal is this is what you want to do for a career, it is a fabulous career. It's one thing. I think in my experience, people that have diversified themselves, they've never really been able to excel either in 100% real estate or 100% loan officer origination. I cringe at that a little bit. My facial expression is like that only because I do feel that it is important that this is a profession that if you give all of yourself to it, it really can be an extraordinary career. So that's the only reason. I know a lot of people that do both, and at some point along the way, something suffers. Either the real estate end suffers or the mortgage end suffers. That's all.
So can you do it? Yes. Should you? Not so sure. You got to go all in. Jim, let me sort of answer your question here. It says, just if nobody's reading it, hey, you gave me all these websites. How does that help me as an MLO? Number one, and it's something that Nathaniel was just talking about, you got to be all in. If you understand, if you go to these sites and you have somebody from a different zip code and you now have all the demographics, you have the statistical information, you could actually create a mini brochure very quickly that says, okay, you're looking to move into this zip code, boom, 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 boom. Let me give this to you electronically or by hand so that they now exactly know where they're moving into. When you're looking at people like when Econ 70, and this is what's going on with the economy, Let's say you're doing a home renovation for somebody right now. He posted something, I think Elliot posted something last week. This is why suppliers don't have the cabinets when you're looking to rehab your house right now, because everything has been delayed when it's being shipped from overseas. So now you have a reason to talk to your customer about what's going on with the economy and how it's affecting what they're doing. When you go to bankrate.com and they say, oh my God, is that your rate? You can now show them a chart that shows, actually, you're not happy with this rate, but look at that. It's half a point less than it was a month ago or two, or whatever it is. I know I didn't just talk to, I'll tell you another one. People will say to you, and I ask you this, Jim, can you put your, Jim Vincent, can you put your social security number in the message box real quick so that everybody can see it? I have a feeling you're like, no, I'm not giving you my social security number. You're going to have customers that are going to say to you, I don't know who you are. 123333333. Yeah, thanks a lot, buddy. So, but your customer is going to say to you, okay, I understand this, but I just met you over the internet. I don't really know you. I want to make sure you're legit. I have to tell you, I've had people ask me, how do I know that you're certified to do this, that you're qualified to do this? Hi, this is my MLO number. To go to nmlsconsumeraccess.org, type it in, and you'll be able to see that I do have the proper certification. So, and I'll take it one step further. If you're calling on a real estate agent, share all of this stuff with them, because now you're not just talking about the mortgage, you're talking about how to grow their knowledge base. So that's my quick pitch as to why.
May I add a couple of others to that I think is really important? So in the course of your career, Jim, what you'll find is that you'll see that, hopefully you'll get out there and you'll do some leveraged events in order to develop some relationship with some realtors or VIPs, things like attorneys, CPAs, financial advisors that are great sources of business, by the way. But certainly if you're doing presentations for any in-house relationship for realtors, some of the data that Steve presented, and this is where I'm going to use it, and I've been in the business since 1995, that data becomes incredibly rich that when you get in front of a group, when you present those data and some of those analytics, you have the ability to work with the broker of that office to be able to show where are some of your target markets and how do you leverage some of those analytics. For instance, the buying power of consumers in housing and in mortgage is generally between ages of 32 and 45. But certainly knowing some of the demographics, that's information that kind of differentiates you from the pack. Nobody wants to sit in a presentation where all they hear about is how much a 3% down payment, 100% programs, bank statement programs. That's fine, that's great. But everybody's doing those presentations. Not very many people are providing data to real estate agents that are able to use that to be able to leverage their skill set to gain more sides. So I would also recommend, using some of that content for presentations.
People love numbers.
They do.
Steve Ames, I'm going to pause you just for a second so that Nathaniel can think about how to answer your question. I'm going to answer the question that came up because it came up last week. Hey, who should I work for? Here, I got my license. What should I do? Who should I go work for? My answer is, what are you trying to accomplish? If you're somebody who's brand spanking new to the business and you have so much that you need to learn, who has a good mentorship program or apprentice or training program that's going to devote the time, energy, and effort to help you develop as an LO? If you say, no, but I'm somebody who I really just worry about builders because my brother-in-law is a builder and that's who I want to go and I'm going to get all the loans from them. Find out who has a good construction of perm program, right? Mm-hmm. So you got to tell me what you're trying to accomplish. And whatever that thing is that you're going to need the help with, see how good that company is with that. That's what's important. There are some that say, hey, I don't know how to get leads. There are some lenders out there that they have phone banks and they feed you leads all day long. So that might be the thing that you're looking for. Some say, I don't want leads fed to me. I like to meet people in person. So what are you going to do? Somebody who has a good reputation has a nice conference room so you can bring them in. Till you tell me what you're about, I can't answer that question. And Nathaniel's shaking his head on that. So Nathaniel, the question was, how do I know when rates are changing based upon bond and treasuries? What would you say to that?
So, it's a great question. And this, we're talking about fiscal literacy. So what you want to think about, Steve, in that question is really, there's two different mechanisms. There's a 30-year MBS, and then there's also a 10-year treasury, and they work differently. So the MBS, as a 30-year MBS price goes up, interest rates go down, and it's an inverse relationship. With 10-year treasuries, it's the opposite. If the 10-year treasury is going down, then interest rates are going to go down, and vice versa. You hedge to both. So generally what you want to look at is the fluctuations can be, if you're moving from 103.38, at some point, if you're going up to, let's just say 105, at some point, they're going to drop that coupon. And we start to get a little more technical. But if you're asking, like, how many basis points does something move before it affects the rate? Generally speaking, about a 75 basis point move may impact the rate anywhere from an eighth to a quarter, depending on the lender. But as on MBSs, 30-year MBSs, as the price of that MBS goes up, so it goes from 103.38 to 104, that means interest rates are going to go down. If the price goes from 103.38 down and you go to 103, 102.5, that means interest rates are going to come up. It's an inverse relationship. So I hope that helps answer your question. But the mechanism you really want to pay careful attention to, and you'll hear this on the news a lot because it's very, very close to short-term rates, is you want to look at the 10-year treasury. That's different. As treasury prices go down, interest rates go down with that. And you hear a lot on the news, the big hedge funds, they're always looking and talking about the 10-year treasury. Where are those treasury rates going down to be able to mitigate and control rates? I hope that answers your question. Steve, that's like a conversation that's like an hour and for like another day, I think. I don't know.
But I'll add two things. You ever heard of like the Fed rate? Oh, the Fed's going to do this or the Fed's going to do that. That's not this world. So a lot of times the customer says, oh, the Fed just made rates zero. That does not where we're looking at that. That's like credit card loans and car loans and stuff like that. And a lot of people are out there, they're trying to sell their goods to give you rate alerts. So they'll say, oh, this is what's moving today. You should lock customers in now. Or, oh, this is what's moving today. Hold on, because we don't see. I'm not going to advocate for any of them in particular, because I try and give you a lot of the free stuff here. Those are all pay services that I'm aware of. Yes. So I let you investigate those on your own. But if that's something that's important to you and that's what you want to do, that service is out there for you. Mm-hmm. Hickam, you said here, is there a special program for seniors? Maybe. Check with your own lender, because every lender has their own suite. Hickam, I'm sorry, has their own suite of law product. Oh no, but his name is Hickam. That's Hickam. Yes.
That's so, the product. Yeah.
I see. Okay. So, but you have your own suite. So some companies may have a program, some companies may not. One thing I would do, as soon as I see that someone's a senior, I would ask them if they're a veteran, because then all of a sudden they could possibly qualify for a VA loan or something like that. So it's not just the senior, you have those other elements as well. But that's a company by company situation. There's not like, hey, this is the one senior program that everyone's doing. Who knows? It might be right for a revert. There is a special program. It's called a reverse mortgage. So I mean, maybe that's
yeah, that's the Hickam. Yeah, right. Yeah, the Hickam. Yeah, correct. So,
yes. Right, well, but his name was, and that's what messed me up.
Well, we're kind of wrapping up here, so we have about a minute or so left. So I just wanted to say thank you again, everybody that participated. We hope that you are members here at the Florida Association of Mortgage Professionals. If you're not, please make sure you're joining a membership. We have a wonderful convention coming up here, which is going to be our trade show happening in the beginning of September. Please keep your eyes open for that. It is at the Hilton Bonnet Creek. It's going to be a terrific, terrific show. We are sold out, so there are no more. All the exhibitors are sold out. There will be over 100 exhibitors there, lenders, vendors. Please come out to that. There's going to be a wonderful series of great classes that are going to be offered as well, and terrific speakers as well. So if you're not a member, make sure you join and become a member so you have more great classes and content and great presenters like Mr. Steve Richman presenting to us. And also make sure you're taking full advantage of the classes that are being offered as a member coming up at the convention coming up here in the beginning of September. Steve, any final thoughts?
Stay safe, stay healthy. Thanks for being here, and have a great day.
Okay. And should anybody have any other questions, just make sure that you just reach out to Valerie Smith and the management group, and we'll get some. I see one last question here. I got my MLO license in September, but I'm only inputting preliminary info in my company website, and someone else takes care of the client. I'm not happy with that since I'm an independent contractor. Can I seek employment with another company? I want to learn more and take care of my own client. Boy, that's a very personal. Question there. I mean, certainly, Sue, you have the opportunity to work with anybody, and different lenders and different mortgage brokerage operations have different, techniques and things like that, how to handle that. So, Steve, I'm not sure how we can answer that. That's more of kind of not so much on the educational front, but that's really more of, hey, if you're not happy where you're at, then you just got to kind of talk to other people. I guess I don't know how to answer that question, quite frankly.
Yeah, that's deeper than what we have here. Other than that, Nathaniel, I love your tie. It's beautiful. Everybody have a great day. Thank you.
Thanks so much. Okay, take care, everyone. Thanks so much.